Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yesterday we started with this stuff that actually separation can be carried out in four different categories, and out of those two we have already discussed in detail. This is just the recap of last lecture. So in that we started with how separation takes place or what are general categories of separation techniques. So there was first category of phase creation, then there was phase addition, the next third one was by separation by applying some barrier, and the final one was by applying some external force. So we discussed first two in detail, like that what does phase creation mean. It's mean that like if your feed is only liquid, you can get it vaporized, like some part of the liquid is converted to the vapor while some other remains as a liquid. So that was about phase creation. Or for example, your feed is only vapor, you condense some part of that, and that becomes converted into the liquid and vapor stream at the outlet of equipment. So this was all about this, and we said that majorly like vaporization, flash vaporization, condensation, and which we call it partial condensation or partial vaporization, as well as distillation. Those processes are considered under this category of phase creation. Then the second one was about phase addition, in which you add some external media to get the thing separated from the feed. For example, in case of absorption, we can absorb some component of a gas stream by adding some liquid which acts as an adsorbent, and then absorbent. Sorry. And then there was like for example liquid extraction, in which there is a liquid stream containing a mixture of two components. For example, they can be separated by adding another stream of another new liquid, which we were calling as a mass separating agent, and based on that, then that mixture which was initially available as a feed, that can be separated, and at the end of the day you get two like different stream. One was called as a raffinate and other was called as extract. So then there was also an example of adsorption at the end. Like in adsorption, we can apply solid adsorbent, and on the surface of that solid adsorbent, anything can be absorbed from either liquid stream or from the gaseous stream. So the third one here, actually in this lecture today we will discuss like these two remaining one, separation by barrier and separation by applying some external force. And then at the end of this we will discuss some general main selection criteria, that if you have to select any which of these techniques. Actually one student also posted one question yesterday here, like in the teams, so that will be also answered here, that what are the criteria to select which separation technique is better, or which one we have to select. So for example here, okay, start with this separation by barrier. So separation by barrier, already you know that we have to apply some barrier, and that barrier which is commonly used in industrial practices, that is in the form of membranes. And those membranes can be either microporous membrane, mean containing very small pore, or they can be non-porous, mean without pores, which we can call as a like totally non-porous, or a solid material in which there are no pores. But they act as a semi-permeable barrier. Semi-permeable mean they allow some of the component to pass through and some will be retained on their surface. Either they are microporous or non-porous, both can work as a semi-permeable barrier. So they can be used for separation of either vapor as well as liquid mixture. So for both applications they are used. So whenever you apply some barrier or a membrane, so at the end you will get two streams as your product. So those product can be, first one as mentioned here is a retentate. Retentate is the terminology used for those components which are retained actually on the surface of membrane. They do not pass through the membrane, so they are called as a retentate. And the other one which pass through the membrane, all those components which pass through the membrane, they are called as a permeate. For example, as you have already discussed somewhere, the example of lab scale filtration, in which anything which will be retained on the surface of that barrier, that is named here in terms of membranes. If you are talking about, they are named as a retentate. Most of the time, for example, there was a solid and liquid mixture. So solid which retain on the surface, they are called retentate, while the liquid which will pass through is named as a permeate anything which has passed through the membrane. So for example, if there is a gaseous mixture and some gases pass through the membrane, they are permeate, and some gases which remain on the surface of membrane, they do not pass through this. Those components will be then called as retentate. So for these, microporous membrane, this separation, that how much separation will take place, which component will get separated, which will not get separated, this depends on various factors. And that factor, for example, if it is, first of all, if it is porous membrane, if it contains some pores, so the first criteria will be anything which is less in the size as compared to the pores, that will pass through this, while other which has like large size as compared to the pore, that will not pass through. But if there are still different components and they diffuse through the membrane, so this separation is affected by like rate of diffusion, how much anything can diffuse through the membrane. And that is majorly applied diffusion for like dense membrane or non-porous membrane. Later on, actually, as already I told you in the last lecture, that all these techniques which we are just getting introduced with, we have to discuss everything in detail. Later on we will study also that there are some membranes which are dense, which don't have any pores. They are called also non-porous membrane. So maybe you will be thinking, through non-porous membrane then separation is difficult. Yes, it is difficult, but still those membranes are used for separation of the components. So how then separation will be taking place? It will be through diffusion and solubility of the components through the membrane. Kindly don't just confuse this term solubility with the soluble something which is soluble in the like water. So this solubility is a this passage of any component through the membrane material when there are no pores available. How this passage will take place, we will talk about this in detail later on when we study the membrane stuff. But at the moment, just remember that when there are non-porous or dense membrane, then separation is affected by the solubility or diffusion of the components which are passing through the membrane. So here there are four general categories of membrane which are commonly used. They are discussed. Uh, by the way, for all other techniques which we discussed yesterday or discussing today, maybe you can find more examples. But here the things which we are discussing, they are usually related to our syllabus as well, like they are common practice techniques. So like in distillation, maybe in earlier version of the book or earlier edition, which was third edition, you can see a lot of things related to the distillation. He has named a lot of distillation categories under phase creation. So any distillation category that is under phase creation, so you can generally keep in mind. So similarly for the membranes, maybe you will find some other example anywhere, but these are the four which we have to discuss. As initially in when we started with this course, I introduced you with the course, and there were these techniques which were supposed to be covered under membrane category. So first one, dialysis. Do you know what does this technique is? Dialysis.
Yes, sir.
What is this
Yes,
technique?
sir.
Does anyone know? Can anyone tell me, please?
So this technique is used to separate the salt or some other salts from the blood.
Okay, yes, good. For this technique, or you can call it like it works as an artificial kidney. That for those people whose kidneys don't work properly, so this technique is used for the removal of various unwanted components from the blood, which usually our kidney perform this process. But in this case, for those affected people, then this technique is used. So in this technique, what happens, actually you pass the blood through some membrane system, and through that membrane, actually some of the components can pass through that membrane, and uh, they will get separated. While when they get separated, your retentate, which is clean bloodstream, that is then you are sent back again to the body. So here actually small solute molecule pass through the porous membrane. This membrane is designed in such a way, or this is such kind of membrane which don't allow the blood molecules to pass through. It will allow only the salt, all those which are unwanted components, they pass through this membrane. So kidney also work on this principle. When the blood pass through that, all those unwanted components, they pass through those small, they call it I think nephron, small structure. They are actually work similar like the membrane. So this is the technique which is used on very large scale. And here a barrier is again microporous membrane, which is selective, which allows something to pass and other are retained. For all of the membranes, one thing you will observe that for anything to pass through the barrier, uh, there should be some force. For example, when we discussed the filtration, simply we said that then there is a force of gravity due to which liquid pass through the filter. But here, when there is a membrane and filter, they are highly porous as compared to membrane. Their pore size are high. Membranes have very less pore size. And in these cases of the membrane, you will always need pressurized stream. So when there is a pressurized stream, then some of the component will pass through the membrane due to this force of pressure. Like they call it pressure as a separating agent. In case of membrane, all here you can see that for all example we need pressure. The second one which is used, or maybe you have come across this name, reverse osmosis. So did you come across this terminology before this anywhere? What is reverse osmosis?
सर बॉडी के
यस
अंदर
सर,
होती है रिवर्स
बायोलॉजी
ऑस्मोसिस।
फिल्ट्रेशन प्लांट में भी होती है सर ये।
Yes, this is very widely used for desalination plant for removal of the salts from the water, and this is, as its name is indicated, it is reverse of osmosis. I don't want to go in it detail. Later on we will study this, but this is another technique in which actually the membranes, they are like semi-permeable and they don't allow the solute to pass through, means salts don't pass through this, but that liquid, for example, there is sea water which contain a lot of salts along with the water. So water will pass through the membrane, and those salts which are present with the water, they will retain on the surface of membrane, and then they are just discarded like as a retentate stream. So this technique is used for majorly cleaning of the water. So here again, you have to apply the pressure, and that pressure of the feed should be higher than the osmotic pressure of the solution. Every solution has some osmotic pressure, so in order to pass that solution through the membrane, your pressure, your force should be higher than that pressure, so that you can overcome that pressure and can force or push the liquid to pass through the membrane. Then there is a gas permeation membrane. Gas permeation membranes are used for separation of different gases, and these are usually non-porous membrane. By the way, for gas permeation, can we use like porous membranes? Will they will be like effective? What do you think?
नो सर, गैस उसमें से पास हो जाएगी।
Yes, because gas molecule, they are very small molecules, and there is no like big difference between the diameters of the molecule. So in that case, for example, if you want to just separate oxygen from the air, so nitrogen and oxygen both can pass through. So most of the time when you will look at the gas permeation system, they have non-porous membrane. So through these non-porous membrane, as we discussed in last slide, due to solubility and diffusion, some molecule can pass through those membrane. So you have to select such material for that membrane which allow some of those gases to easily pass through, while other are just retained on the surface. By the way, here it is not like 100% that one gas will pass 100%, other will not be allowed, like even a 0%. Some of that will pass, but that will be in very small amount as compared to the other gas. So the last one which is considered under this, that is called pervaporation. So as its name is also indicated here, vaporation. So that's something close to the vaporization. So in these kind of membranes, if you look at its diagram, some liquid was entering to the system and there is a barrier inside that, and you can see that outlet there is a liquid as well as on the other side there is a vapor stream. So in this case, actually some portion of the liquid will pass through the membrane, that is vaporized, that is converted to the vapor stream while passing through the membrane. And here we have to apply low pressure or vacuum on the other side of the membrane, so that due to reduction in like this pressure, vaporization of the sum of component can take place. So at the same time, for vaporization, maybe you will also need some amount of heat which can be supplied in the form of applying a heater on this system, on this side, heating with the help of some like hot stream, so that that part of the liquid stream which pass through the membrane, that can get converted to the vapor. And why we go for this, I think it will be better to discuss it later on. So usually this is used to separate azeotropic mixtures. So that because azeotropic mixtures are difficult to separate with the help of distillation, so when you pass through this membrane, one of those component of which is azeotrope, usually if it is between two components, so one of a membrane will be selected in such a way that one of those component can easily pass through the membrane, and when it will pass through the membrane, on the other side, due to reduction in pressure and applying of heat, you can get it converted to the vapor stream. So this was about separation by barrier, in which four categories: reverse osmosis, dialysis, then gas formation, and pervaporation are discussed, or they are used widely on an industrial scale. The last one, which is separation by an external field or gradient. We already know that here we have to apply any force. So external field, yeah, when you have to apply the external field, actually, as we discussed somewhere earlier, when we started this separation in last lecture, that you actually work on some of the property of those components which you want to separate. For example, that property can be their molecular size. If you want to separate them, you will select, or maybe it depends on their vapor pressure, it depends on their diffusivity, solubility, and a lot of all these categories. So here in external field, actually you take advantage of different degrees of response of molecule or ion to the force field. If you are applying any force, what will be the response of the molecule? Either, for example, if I want to separate some gas from the solid, and we said that we can apply centrifugal force. So now if we want to just separate solid from the gas, it is easy and simple technique to apply centrifugal force. And when you will apply this centrifugation, that will definitely easily separate the solids from the gas, because that force will be higher on the solid particle as compared to the gaseous molecule. So gaseous molecule, without getting disturbed, they can pass through the system, and those solid will be attracted due to this force. So centrifugation usually establish a pressure field, that separates the mixture according to their size, shape, and density. So I think you studied already centrifugal force, and this phenomenon you are aware about it somehow. This centrifugation in industry, this is commonly used for centrifugation of uranium ores. Uranium is used in nuclear industry, and for its centrifugation means separation of its various, I think in your book he has mentioned exact molecular weight, uranium fluoride with uranium 235 and another uranium fluoride with uranium 238. So just to separate these two ores from each other, we apply this technique of centrifugation. Hopefully you guys have come across these categories, or maybe in the news or somewhere, that like centrifuges are used in nuclear industry to get a separation of these elements, which is usually uranium, for then that is after centrifugation, that is used for various purposes. So another technique which is used here are external or force field, which is temperature gradient. So when you apply somewhere the temperature gradient, like the due to that temperature gradient, somehow concentration gradients are developed inside the mixture. So concentration gradient in terms of that, for example, there was a mixture, and when you apply the heat, maybe the lighter component, as you know, that they will start moving towards the top if I start heating something, as compared to the heavier components, lighter will go to the top earlier. So in that case, that separation can be done with the help of this, and this process is also used somewhere for the separation of isotopes. I mean, although they will be close in number or close in mass, but when you apply this force, they can be separated. Another one which is called electrodialysis. So electrodialysis, you just studied dialysis. So what was dialysis? This was application of membrane for separation of some solute or some components. So from the blood, for example, it's common application. Otherwise, you can also use for various other such separation in which some solutes are just separated from the liquid. So in electrodialysis, you have to just this is again a membrane process, but here we apply some electric charge. So actually on the surface of membrane there is some charge. So for example, if surface of the membrane is positively charged, so whenever any positive charge will come close to this, that will be rejected, or that will be like pushed away, while if opposite charge molecule will come, that will be attracted and that can pass through the membrane. So this technique is used for some of the separation in which there are cation and anions, and we want to separate them. So after applying a fixed charge to the membrane, this technique can be used for the fast separation of the components. This can also be used for the desalination of water, like as I said that in desalination, what we do, we separate the salt molecules from the liquid stream water. So in RO, actually in reverse osmosis, as I said, that don't allow the molecule of salt to mostly to pass through, only liquid can pass. But in electrodialysis, we can reverse that it does not allow water to pass through, but it will allow or attract the salt. They can come close to the membrane and they can be separated. And the last one here, another one which is called electrophoresis. Again, it is application of electricity in which somehow they call it electrokinetic process, which separates the charged particle in a fluid using a field of electric charge. And in electrophoresis, here actually what they do somewhere, this is applied for I think in biotechnology field, or you can say for separation of DNA, RNA, and such kind of things. So you apply the electric field on the two ends, there one positive charge, other negative charge. So all those ions which are available in this system, they will start traveling towards opposite ends. For example, if they are positive charge ions, they will travel to the negative charge ion, and a negative charge will travel to the positive electrode. So here in all these kind of example, they are very specific and used in specific kind of industries. I think in chemical industries, maybe you will hardly see such kind of example, but they are, for example, centrifugation is widely used in nuclear industry, while this electrophoresis is used in biotechnology industry. And the middle one, which was like electrodialysis, that can be used for membrane separation, but in chemical industries not much used. They are specialized techniques. So in all of these techniques, the point is that some external field or gradient is applied. So up to here, any question?
सर ये जो मेम्ब्रेन है, ये बैरियर प्रोसेस, इसमें हम लिक्विड सोल्यूट को भी सेपरेट कर सकते हैं? लाइक सॉलिड तो हो जाएगा, रिटेन हो जाएगा उसके ऊपर, लिक्विड सोल्यूट हो तो वो सेपरेट हो
Yes.
सकता है?
बेसिकली ना सल्यूट हम जब ओके यू आर सेइंग लाइक आपके दो लिक्विड हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल वी से मिक्सचर ऑफ बेंजीन एंड टॉल्यूइन, यही कहना चाह रहे हो?
यस सर।
Okay, yes, it can be separated, and membranes are widely being used for such kind of separation now. I mean, membrane is type की design की जाती है कि that allow one of those components, for example, as I said, benzene and toluene, so that allow, for example, toluene molecule to pass through and benzene molecule will be retained on the surface. So membranes are used in all these applications of liquid separation, gaseous separation. They are used for like removal of salt from the water, and such kind of all applications are there. Yes. Any other question?
तो ये जो हमने एक्सटर्नल फील्ड में जो हमने देखा है अभी, हमने उसका टेम्परेचर बढ़ाया, उसकी वजह से हमने सेपरेशन किया। सर ये जो इसकी जो बेसिक जो इसका जो सोर्स है वो तो हीट ही है ना, वो तो जो पहले हम कह रहे थे ES से, यहाँ पे भी तो वही नहीं होगा बेसिक सोर्स इसका?
हाँ, बेसिकली ना मैं उसमें और इसमें डिफरेंस ये है कि उसके अंदर यस वी आर अप्लाइंग द टेम्परेचर और हीट, बट देयर वी वर क्रिएटिंग अ फेज। यहाँ पे ना ये चीज़ स्टिल लिक्विड में ही रहती है, बट उसका फेज चेंज नहीं हो रहा उसके अंदर, और इसमें यही डिफरेंस है कि वहाँ पे हम फेज चेंज कर रहे हैं। ठीक है, तो इस वजह से उसको वहाँ उस कैटेगरी में ऐड कर रहे थे। हीट तो इवन सिर्फ फर्स्ट में नहीं यूज हो रही थी हीट। अब जैसे मैंने आपको कहा कि मेम्ब्रेन के केस में भी परवेपोरेशन में ना हम हीट तो ऐड कर सकते हैं। तो ये जो एग्जांपल थी कि टेम्परेचर ग्रेडियंट जस्ट अप्लाई करना, वी जस्ट स्टिल कीप देम इन द लिक्विड, वी डोंट जस्ट गेट देम लाइक वन सम ऑफ इनटू द वेपर एंड अदर इन द लिक्विड, बट यस heat is helping here. Our temperature gradient, which we can call it like an external force. Understand?
Thank you.
Yeah. Noman is here. ओके, मैं उस पॉइंट पे बात करना चाह रहा हूँ। ही आस्क्ड अबाउट द क्रोमेटोग्राफी, सो कोई उसको बता दे, वो स्टूडेंट जो पूछ रहा था, अगर अभी यहाँ नहीं है, कल उसने जो पूछा था, तो ये क्रोमेटोग्राफी sometime ion exchange and adsorption, although they are categorized in some different separate category, and they call it like for with the help of some solid agent. Mean this is separation by using some solid agent. In this categories which four we discussed here, they are just discussed in our book, but there is some separate or simple category. Sometimes they just classify it as a separate one. They call it like separation by solid agent. So in that case, what happens, actually you are applying some solid, and with the help of that you get the things separated. So you guys can bring it to the phase addition stuff, like this category of solid agent. Actually, as we just discussed yesterday, the adsorption. In case of adsorption, we said that we bring some solid adsorbent, and some of the stream which will come in contact with this solid adsorbent, then separation of that stream takes place, because some part of that stream get adsorbed on the surface of solid. So this is by applying solid agent. The same in chromatography. Actually, in chromatography, that student was saying yesterday that we add the phase which is actually mobile phase. Mobile phase is not added, but yes, the stationary phase, because that stationary phase is there, and usually that is the solid surface. On that solid surface, separation takes place, because from your mobile phase, various components have various affinity levels with the solid surface, and based on that difference in the affinity, their separation takes place on the surface of that solid. Either that is chromatographic column, or you take some strip of the paper, so that will be considered as like separation by solid agent. And you can say simply, if you want to bring it into your categorization of these four, you can say that this is phase addition, and phase added will be the solid phase, which is stationary phase, not phase addition in terms of mobile phase. Understand this? Similarly, maybe you guys have come across somewhere or know about the ion exchange. So in case of ion exchange, there is a bed of some material, that is solid material, and you bring some liquid or gas in contact with that bed, and then there is a exchange of ion. And this usually this technique is used for water cleaning. In case of water, some ions are removed. So maybe here in separation lab, yes, there is one equipment on which you will perform one experiment related to this, that is ion exchange. So in that case also, that is categorized under the separation by solid agent. But if you want to bring it to your categorization, you can take it as a phase addition stuff. So there is someone, Adnan. Are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
you
sir,
asked
I'm
one question yesterday. So that was about out of these four, which one we have to select. So that's starting here. I also replied you more or less same thing there in the chat. So let's talk about this brief comparison of the common separation operation. Up to here, you have seen just initially for general categorization. Then under each category, you have seen number of main other techniques which come under the same category, but there are various techniques which we have just seen. So now after looking at all these techniques, which one we have to select? So here we will discuss actually brief comparison of all these common separation techniques. So there are some major factors which you have to consider while you are selecting some technique, either it is feasible or not. The first one, the major point which you have to keep in mind is the technology maturity. So technology maturity means that how widely this technique is already being used for some separation. If I have to do some separation out of the various categories which we have discussed, I will say that distillation is the most widely used and the old technique that is commonly practiced. So that is technologically mature technique. So then there is like next stuff, whenever you have looked at various technologies, and you sort out that there are two or three, they are suitable, they are mature, they can be used for this specific separation. For example, you select that I can use distillation, I can use absorption, or I can use membrane separation. For example, out of these three, then you have to look at that which one either cost, which one is more costly in terms of not cost like operational cost, that will be the, installation cost, operational cost, design cost, all these are you have to consider. So then there is, like for example, some technique, you want to do some separation and you look at that technique, that at lab scale some technique is better as compared to some other technique, but is there any easy way to scale that process? Does the technology exist that I can just make a large plant of that laboratory experiment? So then there is like ease of providing multiple stages. If you have to provide multiple stages, is it easy to go for that? Multiple stages actually, when there will be large flow rates and there will be limitations on the size of the equipments, then you have to look for the multiple stages in parallel operation. Then so in order to handle all these large capacities, I will need parallel units. So which of the technology will be better to use in that case? For example, if I just tell you generally, membranes are now widely being used for various separation, but membranes are expensive as compared to the other technologies. As well, usually the membrane plants are smaller in size, so you have to do, or you have to install number of units to do large scale separations. So all these things should be kept in the mind. But for example, here we take some example that we want to separate two components. So as I said, few minutes back, there was example of suppose a liquid. Suppose there is a mixture of benzene and toluene, and I ask you, okay, can you tell me which technology is suitable or can be used? So just what comes to your mind when we say we have to separate benzene and toluene?
The distillation.
Okay, yes, good. Next, anything else we can use out of the things which based on this small knowledge which you have got till now? Any other technique?
सर बाइस्टेपली हम रिएजेंट ऐड कर दें जो एक के अंदर सॉल्युबल हो एक के अंदर ना हो तो इस तरह 2 लेयर्स बन जाएंगी हम सेपरेट कर सकते हैं सेपरेट
liquid extraction. Okay.
यस सर
Good. Yes, that can be one of the option. Anything else? Membranes, as I gave the example of membrane, so membrane can be the option here. Like now, up to here you have three options here for this separation. So next, then when you have these three operations, you have to look at which one is easily available. That can be like there are a number of companies which supply some kind of like distillation column for liquid extraction. Either there is any company or not for membrane system. So then you have to look at, suppose for any technology there are number of companies. You guys are I think studying economics, so you know that when there are a lot of companies the competition will be less and that you can get in a like less price as compared to this. If there is only one or two company of something, there will be the monopoly, and in that case that price of that technology will go high. So you have to look at all these number of factors. Then for example, if someone is supplying you the equipment later on for the maintenance, do we have like expertise in that in the country where you want to install, or maybe always if there will be small problem you have to ask from some other country to come and fix the things. So all these things are kept in mind when you are in industry and you have to select some equipment. Then at same time you have to look at your flow rates or like capacities that for example, if I can do that separation with the help of distillation column and I have to install one large distillation column, but as compared to this maybe in liquid extraction I need number of stages or for example 10. So for achieving same purity or same separation, so all these things are kept in mind when you are selecting some system. But for any separation there can be number of options. Now you have to then list down that which one is better for me, and on the like a long-term basis which one is more suitable. Whenever we are in industry being a design engineer, when we are designing any plant and we are suggesting some option, always there is a cost. So you have to tell the numbers in terms of cost, that for example if we install this technology, how much profit we will get after number of year, or when we will be able to get profit and so on. So these all things are matter there when you are selecting any technology. So here there is some comparison between the technologies. Some of those you have already studied here in these, and some you will be here, but you are somehow just aware about these terminologies shown here. That like in this diagram, this is comparison of technological and usage maturities. If you look at the x-axis down here, there is a technological maturity. It's mean that if you just start with this origin at which it is mentioned invention means just invented this technology, and with the passage of time you know that when some technology is invented, with the passage of time it gets mature, it gets better with time. So at the end he said technologically as in thought that can be used with great or good accuracy, that technology is quite close to like perfect. And the other side use maturity, that first application, for example any technology that is used only in the one plant in the world, or it is used on the large scale in the number of units it is being used. So this is on y-axis. So in this category you can see that at the top there is a distillation. You can look at this that this is both as with respect to usage as well as technologically maturity. This is at the top. This is at already this is widely accepted, widely used, and in terms of technology, this is advanced. Technology mean actually all those small. For example, you invent something new, you apply it to the for separations, but that has some problem. With the passage of time, those problem are resolved. You develop some new things and just just sort out or just get rid of those problems. Then there is next gas absorption, that is widely used and good technology. And similarly, you can see the number of these techniques, and somewhere here even below 50% there is membranes, but above you can see these technologies which you usually come across or study, like distillation, gas absorption. There is like adsorption, crystallization, ion exchange. These are better technologies, are quite mature and widely used. As compared to this, membranes, they are still like 50-50, because they have some problems of membranes. Gets ruptured or gets damaged with the passage of time. You have to replace it again and again. It is a bit costly technology as compared to those. Due to this, then this is not that widely used, and when something is not being used widely, it will not will be improved on that pace. But still, as compared to other technologies, this is getting mature with the passage of time. So then there is like generally membrane-based separation are more expensive, as I was just telling you, than those based on phase creation or phase addition techniques. So all these separation equipment are limited to the maximum size. So need of parallel unit, any of these technologies you will look at that will have maximum size of the equipment. For example, if you want to install distillation column, so there should be some limit on distillation column, because you know that if you install huge distillation columns, that will be like problem to install it, and as well as there will be a lot of forces acting on this. From the surrounding, will it sustain those things? For example, in case of earthquake, and so number of other, for example, huge winds come across this tower and so on. So like environmental factors and these things you have to consider while selecting the size of the equipments. So whenever we have to then supply or we have to install additional equipment, each additional equipment in parallel will cost 100% of the first unit. You want to make a replica of the same equipment, definitely it will cost you the same. For example, I install one distillation column and again one install same distillation column of the same size, same capacity, that will cost definitely 100% same price. So, but the capacity of single unit can be doubled for additional investment of about 60%. If this is based on some of the data available in the literature, or based on the cost of the plants, that if there is a one equipment and you just increase its capacity, you make its capacity double, it will cost you just 60% more as compared to the 100%. Briefly, if we look at these techniques, so for the ease of scale up of the most common separation technique, so distillation column, ease of staging, you can apply the number of stages, number of parallel units. Most of the time they are not needed, because distillation column can be installed in a large size. So for absorption column are also usually installed in a large size. They are easily scaled, and there is no need of most of the time parallel unit, number of units. For liquid extraction, their stages can be easily installed. More than one stages it is okay, but they need parallel units most of the time. So for membranes, usually if you are using more than one stages for the membrane, by the way, more than one stages are usually necessary for the separation. So after passing the gas through one membrane stage, you have to repressurize it. As I already said, that for the membranes, to anything to pass through, it should be pressurized, it should be at high pressure. So you need repressurization between the stages. This will be some extra cost of like pressurizing, and mostly if they are gases, you have to install the compressors, and they are costly equipment. So always there is a need of parallel units, because membranes can handle a specific size. In that case, you have, if your capacity is large, your flow rates are large, you have to install number of units. For adsorption, this technology is also used for various application, and it is easy to install, easy to use. But here the problem is that in case of adsorption, always you will need some parallel unit, because in order to keep the plant continuously running, there should be some alternative for us, because in case of adsorption, I already told you that the surface of adsorbent is covered with those molecule which you want to separate. So due to this, you will need regeneration after some time so that it can be reused. So this is just a general comparison between these various techniques, like there is a distillation, there is adsorption, then for LLE, membrane, and adsorption. So here there is something about cost of recovering and purifying chemical. This depends strongly on its concentration. Here in this example, actually I want to tell you that if the concentration of some component is higher somewhere, it is easy to separate it and its cost will be less as compared to the something which is in very small amount. If its concentration is very low, so it's like purification will be difficult and that will be costly. For example, in this diagram you can see that on x-axis there is a weight fraction of in substrate. Substrate means anything which is carrying any other thing. For example, here there are given various elements, their concentration. You can see that this is decreasing as we are moving away from this origin. For example, if it is like one weight fraction, one mean you know that 100%, then there is 10%, this is 1%, and so on. Then less than that, we are as moving away, its concentration is decreasing. And on the y-axis, price of in dollars per pound, this is for separation of these equipments, these various components is given. And in this case you can see that there are some names. For example, insulin, this is one of the protein, and other with these with complex name, they are various proteins, so penicillin and insulin and so on. So you can see that as you are moving away, like as their concentration is decreasing, their price is widely increasing. So mostly the expensive extraction or expensive separation is of these protein molecules, and they are highly expensive in the world. So just the purpose here is that as there will be less amount of anything anywhere, you will need expensive technologies, you will need expensive separation equipment to get them separated. Related to this, here in chemical industry, we use boiler feed water. I think you studied power plant in last semester in thermodynamics lab. So for those, you need boiler feed water, and boiler feed water is highly purified water. In our, that is not common process water which is used on the plants. They further treat it to separate or to remove all of the salt and all the other components available in the water. The reason is because we need highly purified water in the boiler and turbine and so on. So that is expensive water as compared to the processed water that is used on the normal plant. And why that is expensive? The reason is that all those salt which are now in very small amount, they are in ppms, they should also be removed, and to remove them we need expensive technology and more separations. So that's it. Up to here we have discussed from this chapter the separation techniques briefly, like in case of phase creation, what are those techniques, phase addition, then separation to the barrier, and by applying external force. And I try to link it to these things with some of your earlier knowledge as well as somehow with some industries. So then we just discuss now the brief comparison about the selection of separation technique. And by the way, in next semester when you study the plant design project, there you study these things in more detail, that when you have to select these separation equipment, so what are the basis for that separation. Although in that subject we study all like for heat transfer equipment, for like reaction equipment, like reactors you have to select what are the criteria, and there you study these things in more detail. But these are the common factors which I just told you, they are kept in mind while selecting the equipment. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can ask me.